Do you remember the title of the novel we're studying?
Yes, Where the Lilies Bloom.
Where the Lilies Bloom. And I think we mentioned that the setting is in a natural place. We have mountains. We have two mountains. And Mary Cole gives it or gives these mountains certain names. Do you remember the names?
Yes, Miss, can I?
Yes, Khadija?
Sugar Boy and Old Joshua.
Excellent. بس بدي أشوف إخلاص بتقول ما في صوت لازم أشغل الصوت. طيب. Can someone remind me of the names of the main characters? Can someone remind me of the names of the main characters? Yes. So who's the oldest daughter? Is it Mary Cole?
No, it's Devola.
Devola.
Good, excellent. So we have Mary Cole, Devola. We also have
Romy.
Yes.
قيصر.
بنفعش هيك، ارفعوا ايديكم عشان ما تطلعش صوت مع بعض. يا مين بده يحكي؟
Can I?
فرح.
Yes.
Yes.
We have Devola, the oldest sister, and then we have Mary Cole, and we have Romy and Imadian. Yes.
Excellent.
These are the 4 siblings.
Excellent. And the father is?
Luther. I forget his name.
Roy Luther, yes.
Yes, Roy Luther.
And who's Kaiser?
He was that stingy single man. He's in his 40s, yeah. And he's living alone in his, let's say, luxury house.
Mansion, maybe. So what is the relationship? Can someone else please answer? What is the relationship between Kaiser and the Luther family? What's the relationship?
He's the landlord. He owns the house that they live in.
Who's talking? I can't know who's talking.
Abla.
Okay, please raise your hands before you speak. So yes, Abla.
Yes, he owns the house that the Luther family live in. He's the landlord.
Good, excellent.
And he wants to marry Devola as well.
Excellent. So how does Mary Cole feel about Kaiser?
She hates him. Can I?
There is an icon on which you can press to raise your hand. But yeah, Farah, please.
Where is it? I cannot see it.
It's next to your name.
Okay.
Yes. You may speak, yes. Farah.
So yes. She hates Kaiser, and she thinks he's arrogant, and she didn't want that marriage to happen.
Why do you think she doesn't want him to marry her sister?
Maybe because he's so old and arrogant at the same time. She didn't feel that her sister will be so happy with him. This is my opinion, in fact.
Yes.
Maybe because Devola has an illness, which is cloud-headed, and she doesn't know well about marriage. What is marriage?
But don't you think that this should be a better reason for the Luther family to allow their daughter, who is supposed to be, mentally ill, to get married? Don't families usually search for someone to marry their, let's say, mentally ill daughter? Yes, who would like to speak? Khadija, تفضلي.
Well, Miss, she mentioned before that she doesn't like him because he's ignorant, and for another reason that will be mentioned, on the following pages, is that she promises her father that she won't let her sister marry this person.
Yes, but again, why? I mean, Devola is very happy about this marriage. Devola thinks she will be happy. We know that Kaiser has feelings for her, so he wouldn't probably want to hurt her, because we know that Devola says we're gonna live in the same house. He's going to forgive the taxes my dad owes him, or the debts my dad owes him. So shouldn't that be an encouraging thing to allow her marriage? Shouldn't her marriage be encouraged? Yeah.
I think the only reason that she doesn't want to is because he's ignorant and she hates ignorant people and she hates herself sometimes for being ignorant.
Yeah, but what is the definition of ignorant? Not educated?
Yes. Yes, not maybe he didn't go to school, they didn't.
Uh-huh. So here's a question. What is ignorance? If, for example, a person does not go to the university, do I call that person ignorant?
Don't we call people who go to school illiterate or uneducated? Does it have anything to do with ignorance?
Well, I want you to think about it from a broader perspective. What is knowledge? I can have knowledge about farming. I can have knowledge about medicine. I can have knowledge about literature. So as Noor, I am ignorant when it comes to medicine, right? Because I'm not specialized in medicine. I go to the university. I'm actually teaching at the university, but I'm still ignorant. I think it's a little bit inaccurate to hate a person or to think that a person is ignorant simply because they don't go to school or they don't go to the university, because we can't know everything about everything. And this 40-year-old man probably has knowledge that she doesn't, or else how did he come to have so much money, so many properties? How did he become so rich if he is simply ignorant? So I want you to think about that. And I want you to remember that although education should make us educated, but think about all the students who go to the university, who get the degree, but they, for example, graduate with a very, very low mark. How much education have they received? How much education do they have? So they have a degree, they went to the university, but they're still ignorant. So what is ignorance? We can never limit ignorance into one specific meaning, because again, I cannot know so many things. It makes me ignorant about these things. But should I, for example, hate a person because he or she is ignorant about this and that? I'll give the example again. My entire family, when they went to the university, they specialized in scientific majors. I'm the only one who specialized in arts or literature. And should they perceive me as ignorant? Because, well, I don't know most of the things they speak about. And should I consider them ignorant because they don't know anything about the literature that I learned? So I want you to think about that. Is it a good excuse? Or maybe she's feeling a little bit, I don't want overprotective. Maybe Maricol is overprotective. Maybe Maricol doesn't like the fact that her sister is going to be very rich, because you're going to notice once we go deeper into the character and once we learn more about Roy Luther and the will he leaves for his daughter. Will إيش معناها هنا؟
وصية.
Yeah. Once we get to know these things, we're going to notice that it's like they hate the idea that they're not rich. They hate the idea that they're poor. And they hate that there are people who are rich. And that's why we said she reminds us of the greasers, because it's like she feels that she feels that Kaiser is the reason why she's poor. Because if you remember, she says that if Kaiser pays their father the money he deserves for the work he does for him, they would have earned the house and much more. So it's like she feels that it's because he hasn't been paying us well, we haven't gotten any richer. And for that reason, I think she hates them. Not because he's ignorant, because again, like what is a knowledgeable person? What is a not ignorant person? Okay. Do you remember the page we reached? Yeah, no one remembers?
Page 15.
15.
15,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. We mentioned that we're saying goodbye to Roy Luther from the very beginning. So he only appears in like the early chapter. And we know that he's sick, and we know that he's going to die because we mentioned that Mary Cole is going to be the person responsible for the family, for the entire family. And so we don't get too attached to him. And this is one of the ironic things about calling him the paternal parent. Remember when she called him paternal parent? It's like she's telling us, do not attach yourself to this character. This character is going to die, and don't feel sorry for it. And we notice this, we feel this. We feel from the very beginning that there is no strong father-daughter relationship. Although in like when he gives her the will, and when she tells us about the things he asked her to do, we feel that a father who is close to his daughter would be able to make or to give such will to his daughter. I mean, if there is no connection, no relationship at all between them, he wouldn't be asking her these things and expecting that she would do them. So that's one. But again, the ironic thing, I want you to remember this, there's something ironic about her calling him paternal parent, and as in a way to tell us, hint, show us that do not get attached to Roy Luther. This is just a father figure. Sorry, he's not a father figure. He's just there for the introduction and for telling me about not letting my sister marry that man, Kaiser. So the things she promises her father, the first thing is that he wishes to die in his sleep. I want you to, can you please turn your mics off because it's causing some disturbance. So please mute yourselves. Yes, thank you. I want you to remember in Hamlet, what Hamlet says, and I want you to Google it in case you haven't learned it or haven't taken it at the university yet. To sleep, perchance to dream. There's a great connection in literature between sleeping and dying, and how sleeping is a form of death, and how death is a form of sleep. So it goes both ways. When you go to sleep, it's as though you're dead. And when you die, it's as though you're asleep. And this connection is also found here when Roy says that he wants to die in his sleep. Now, generally, death doesn't take much time. It just happens. And we understand from this that Roy Luther doesn't want to suffer. But we also know that he's sick, right? So a person who is sick is suffering. And then when you die, you're supposed to have peace. What I mean is, he wants to die in his sleep because he wants to feel comfort. But what difference would it make to die when you're awake or to die when you're asleep? See, it's like he doesn't want to see his own death, but no one sees their own death. When they die, they just die. It just happens. But it's like he lives in this or he has this belief that he wants to go peacefully. He wants to die peacefully. He's a man who's been troubled by poverty. He has been raising his children alone. So he just wants to die in peace, so that he wants to die in his sleep. And that's why she says, I am to let him go on as quietly as he can without any wailing and fussing. And this tells us something about Roy. From Mary Cole's perspective, it's that she thinks that he just wants to die in peace and move on and leave them alone. But the truth is, he doesn't want his children to be torn apart after his death. He doesn't want his children to cry after his death. It's like he's preparing them for the great event of his death. And again, it shows that he is actually a good father, even though she's at the beginning implying that he's horrible, that she's detached to him, that maybe she doesn't love him like a father. But the fact that he's psychologically preparing his children for the coming. It's coming. My death is coming. So don't wail, don't cry, don't busy yourselves getting me a doctor. Just let me die in peace. So in a way, he's actually being a good father. And sometimes this happens in real life. When one of the parents is sick or something, they sit with their children and they explain to them that death is inevitable, that everyone is going to die, and that it's going to be hurtful, but you should be strong and you shouldn't let yourselves fall into a stage of denial, a stage of sorrow. And that's why, again, she's not allowed to call any doctor. No one is calling doctors. Just let me die in peace. And again, it's because he doesn't want them to busy themselves with helping. Like, let's say they call a doctor, the doctor comes, relieves him from the pain. He gets better. Then he knows that then again, he's going to get sick again. And these children will get attached again, and they would go into an endless loop. So part of being, to him at least, a good parent is, number one, preparing his children for the coming death, for the coming loss. Number two, the fact that he does not want them to over busy themselves, over occupy themselves with him, because he feels that he's incapable of doing anything. And then he says that if it happens at night, she should wait until the morning, and she must not call the preacher or undertaker. It's like he just wants to leave the world without causing any trouble. And he doesn't want his daughter to go at night, search from one house to the other, looking for a preacher or looking for a doctor. So if I die, just stay the night, wait until the morning, and then you can go. And whether we think this is something arrogant of him, you can also explain it from a parenting perspective, that he's being caring for his daughter, for his children after his death. Don't go at night, just keep me until the morning. Yes, Khadija, you're raising your hand.
Okay, Miss, I want to comment something here. It's like
Yes.
when he said, I'm not to call any doctor or allow anyone else to call one. I think he did this, like he said to his daughter to not call anyone or let anyone know, because if anybody knows, and no, I think they will be separated after his death. So they don't want anyone to know, like they don't want to let anyone know, just because he's afraid that they will be separated.
It's also true, yes, but she says he doesn't mean that. Like, not he doesn't mean that. It's more like he doesn't want to cause a fuss, but to him, it's like, don't till at night, till in the morning. That's why I'm saying that he's doing it in order to protect her or protect them from leaving in the night. But the decision of not telling the others, it's Mary Cole's decision. She's the one who decides that we're not going to tell anyone about his death. Especially not.
All right. I thought that it was the father, not Mary Cole, but it's okay. Now I got it.
تمام. So listen to this. The preacher has a mighty voice in these mountains, but he expects to be paid for his wisdom. What is a preacher? What's a preacher?
Miss, which page?
We're on page 15. What is a preacher? What's the meaning of the word preacher?
هي أظن زي واعظ أو شغلة.
واعظ؟ إيش
إنه في ناس مثلا زي يعني ولا تشبيه للشيوخ عنا مثلا اللي بيقعدوا هو يعني go from place to another.
تمام.
ما برضه يعني زي الواعظ.
ما هو تمام، بس ما عندهمش هم واعظين بمعنى واعظ. Let me explain. When a person in prison is given a death sentence and he's going to be executed, they bring a reverend, they bring a preacher to his cell in order to speak to him, to prepare him for death, to help him repent, to help him like get rid of the sins he has in order to be well prepared for death, okay? For meeting God. طبعا هذا عندهم. Now, when he is...
Miss, can you repeat this point?
Yeah, okay, I will. But let me finish the point and then I'll go back. Now, when they do the burial ceremony, I don't know if you've ever seen any burial ceremony, there's usually a person, the reverend, the preacher, he stands near the grave and then he starts saying good things about the dead person and he starts praising him and he starts reminding the people of death, reminding the people. So it's similar to what Abla said, that when there is, for example, a funeral, a person comes to the funeral in the Muslim culture, a person comes to the funeral and delivers a very short lesson. But here in their belief, the person comes and starts praising the dead person and starts saying good things about him, and again reminds the people around the grave that death is inevitable, that there is hell and that there is heaven. Now, the thing is, what does this criticize? It says, or she says, that the preacher expects money, that you're going to pay him for these words that he's going to say. He doesn't do them for free. So what does this tell us about the world they live in? A religious man comes during a funeral to speak about the dead person, and then he asks for money. What do we understand? I don't know if my question is clear or not.
It's materialistic.
Thank you. Excellent. It shows the materialistic world they live in. And it's not just Mary Cole who wants money. It's not just Kaiser who wants money. Even the clergymen, even the religious men, even those who are part of the church, those who are part of the religious community, they too seek money. يعني انت تخيلي يجي شيخ او وحده تيجي تقعد تحكي في عزم وهي طالعه تقول اعطوني حق الكلام اللي حكيته. How would that make you feel? صح? So that's why on page 15 in the middle she says, the preacher has a mighty voice in these mountains, but he expects to be paid for his wisdom. Okay. Now, Khadija said that he didn't want them to tell anyone so that they would not be separated. If you see the last paragraph on page 15, it is that Roy Luther has requisitioned me to give him a simple homemade burial when the time comes. So he wants a burial. He wants he wants people to know that he's dead. But the idea of not wanting to tell others came from Mariko herself. Okay. Look at the very last 3 lines. We have not talked about how I am going to get him there. Were you to ask Roy Luther, it would shame him to have to say aloud that it will have to be in Romy's wagon, and he'd have to say what for me to do with the feet, which will surely drag because the vehicle is but a toy. Now, can someone tell me what this quotation indicate, or what it means? Indicates or it means? Listen again. He has told her that he wants her to bury him, and again she asks, she says, how was I supposed to take him to that place? Because she's 14 years old. The other children are younger than her. Devola, yes, she's 16, but she's still incapable of carrying a dead man's body. But what do we understand about the character of Roy Luther here is that he wants things done, but he doesn't care how it's done. And this could be one of the problems between him and his daughter. There is no clear communication because he has this belief that you have to do the things without asking me. And we all know that Romy is her young brother, right? And apparently he has a wagon. But apparently this wagon is a toy. عارفين ايش يعني wagon؟ عربة. تمام؟ يعني هو بده اياها تحمله على عربة اخوها، بس اخوها العربة اللي عنده عربة ايش؟ ألعاب، لعبة. Remember when she said none of the Luthers is insane or something like that? Only the Vola has a clouded head? Could this show us that the other Luthers also have clouded heads? Or not, huh? يعني لما يقولها أو لما هي تكون فاهمة إنه هو بده إياها تحمله على اللعبة تبعت أخوها. Does this make sense?
Miss, can I?
Yes, Khadija.
Can we say, like, maybe it's not Devola who has this illness? Maybe it's an inherited illness, like across their family?
Yes, and this is what we like hinted in the first lecture when she spoke to the strange man and she said we all saw the man, and I spoke to him. It indicated that, or it hinted that, hold on, how did that happen? And then again she says, I don't know why Devola has this illness because no one else in the Luther family has it. But again, that makes us wonder if it is an ironic statement by the author, or to hint the fact that, okay, maybe Mary Cole too has a mental illness. Not necessarily a mental illness as in crazy, but at least not mentally stable, not entirely stable. Or we could just say that she's 14. She's just a child. What do you expect from a 14-year-old girl, right? So let's go through together the things the father asked the daughter to do. Can someone please read number 1? Can someone read number 1? I'm always to take pride. Yes, who would like to read number 1?
And when the time comes.
Number 1, page 16.
I can read it.
Yes, please. Just number 1.
Yeah. Number 1, I am always to take pride in having the name of Luther and instill this pride in the others too.
How do you feel about this statement? And what does this tell you about the father? When your father says, let's imagine my father, he tells me, Noor, you have to be proud of being from El Borno family, and you have to instill this feeling of pride in your sisters too. What does this tell us about him? What does this tell us about the Luther family? What do we understand from this? What are the other dimensions beyond this statement? مين حابب يجاوب؟ خديجة أنت رافعة إيدك؟
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Can I?
تفضلي.
You know, when someone tells you to be proud to be something, that could mean that you're not proud of being a Luther or something.
Excellent.
So when I tell you be proud, that means that you weren't proud before, and I'm telling you to be proud now.
Excellent, excellent. Now, let's understand the psychology of this family. We have a poor family who's suffering from financial problems. One of the daughters has a mental illness. The mother is dead. The father is dying. And at some point, the children are going to feel a little bit, let's say, insecure about their identity as Luthers, as part of the Luther family. And again, here we see the parenting manifesting, the fatherly emotion being shown to us. Because look at this. This is a man who's trying to make his daughter and children understand that we're poor, we don't have anything. Maybe people call us crazy, but regardless, be proud of being a Luther. So here, this is what a caring father would do for his children. It's like, I may not leave you with wealth, but I am leaving you with your family name. I'm leaving you with your identity as a Luther. And don't let others make you think that being so is bad. طب حيفصل الزوم، فأنا حبعت رابط جديد. أبعته على الجروب ولا أبعته على الفيس ولا أبعته على التنين؟
على الفيس.
ماشي. هسكر وأبعت رابط جديد.